What up, everybody? Blake Scholar Magic, what's up? How are you today? So I got a little bit of a group of cards here, and to illustrate the particular commander we're working with, Illuna, Apex of Wishes, it's a green, blue, and red commander, so those are the card characteristics and colors we get to work with in these particular colors for this commander. And on the top row, these are the only 4 permanents that we play in the entire deck. Meaning that there's a zone like where enchantments sit, artifacts and creatures and tokens such as treasures. We call that the board, usually in Magic the Gathering. It's a very interactive place where basically a lot of the game actions take place. And typically, many decks play lots of permanents that will hit the board in a variety of ways. And in that manner, you'll have like 50 plus permanents in a deck. So that's quite a bit. But this particular deck only plays 4 permanents. And you can see just from that World Spine Worm up there, that's a very heavy casting costed spell. So you'd kind of be scratching your head like, what exactly is going on with this commander? What makes it work so well? And how do I build around this particular card? In addition, there are some really nice new cards from Final Fantasy, and I believe this deck is pretty much as good as it's going to get at the current moment. There will always be new toys and tools. As you can see, new sets bring in new tech and things to try out, always. So there's always new things to try, always new big baddies to try out too along the way. But I really like the top end here, and I also like the new cards that have, kind of joined up. So what Illuna wants to do primarily is mutate onto something. And mutate is the action of merging with another card that is on the battlefield, essentially. It has to be a non-human creature in this manner. So you might say to yourself, well, Blake, you only have 4 permanents, so how exactly are you going to mutate? You're going to have like no targets for this Illuna. So that's a really good point. And to basically create the tokens we need to mutate, we can use cards such as like a Lindblom. So let me kind of illustrate this, kind of zoom this up for you. So in this manner, Lindblom is that instant or adventure where you can cast at instant speed. You could create a 0/1 black wizard creature token with. Whenever you cast a non-creature spell, this token deals 1 damage to each opponent. In addition, this can just act simply as a land. So you can see we can create creatures. They don't have to be creature cards per se. Like the big difference between creating a token and having a creature card is that if you ever get like a creature card like returned to your hand in some manner through a spell, it will come back as the card itself. But if you basically return a token to someone's hand, it basically goes into exile. It's not attached to a card per se. The card had done a function. It wasn't, the main card's main characteristic though was to be a creature. This in particular, the Lindblom, is to be a land in that manner. So these are basically the ways to create tokens. And what's really interesting about Illuna is that when you do mutate successfully, it's going to exile cards off the top of your library until you reveal a non-land permanent. You put that card on the battlefield or into your hand. So the mutate cost is 1 more than its casting cost. It's 6 mana total. It's not really a big deal. It is kind of a thing to climb to in that manner, but it's really not that bad. So in this manner, you're going to imagine a lot of ramp spells and basically token enablers to get to where we need to be. A really fantastic card that just came out from Final Fantasy is Esper Origins. Why Esper Origins is so nice for me and why I like it so much is that it will create, on its flashback side, a really nice creature. We'll take a look at it right here. Actually becomes the Saga. And in that manner, it's really interesting, like a flashback saga. Like the front side is a, sorcery spell, and then on the back side, its flashback is this enchantment saga. It's totally bizarre. It's a really cool design. So here's the Esper Origins. Reveal the top card of your library. If it's a permanent card, put it into your hand. Nice. Well, we can get lands in that manner, okay? So we can at least do that, right? So we'll surveil off the flashback, gain a little bit of life, hopefully find a land and put it in our hand so we get that value. And then, for instance, we're going to be adding green, which is really what it's all about. So if I can do this in this manner, I'm kind of ramping into Illuna and I have a creature body. So that's really the juice, is when I can create ramp with a creature. And it's not attached to a card. Like basically it's in this manner. It is a flashback of a sorcery spell and not a creature card in general. So really weird, interesting stuff. And this is kind of how you'd want to go about it. In this manner with merging or mutating onto an Esper Maduin, it is kind of uncertain. But I did believe I read that if you did mutate onto a saga, and if you mutated onto the top of it, for instance, it would stay in play. If you had mutated underneath it, it will kind of retain those characteristics of its counters, and you would move through it. So very interesting stuff in general to start. Also, Xenarcan is just a real sweet one too, guys. You're absolutely gonna love the Xenarcan. So this one is just another beauty. 6 mana, create a 1/1 colorless hero creature token. Put a 1/1 counter on it for each land you control. What's really nice about Illuna and a card that puts counters on itself is that when you mutate over the token, you'll retain the counters. So if this was a 6/6, land upon entering the battlefield with 6 counters on it, when you mutate onto it, it's going to make a 12/12 Illuna flying trample. So that's really nice stuff. Overall, really cool highlight so far. Now let's get into the stuff that we're going to be getting into. So I did try this out on Brawl, and I was actually using Emrakul, the Aeon's Torn, and that is a really nice one. That would be your ideal. Yeah, so you'd be into like an Emrakul for certain, but it's not legal in EDH, that particular one. But we have the next best thing. What's his World Spine Worm? Why is this so good? Because if it gets removed in any sort of way, it's really amazing. It shuffles right back into your library. So you don't have to be worried about your hits running out with Illuna. You can mutate a bunch of times. You're always going to have something to find. You're going to have this World Spine Worm that's just continually shuffling itself back into its deck. And it replaces itself with these green worm creature tokens. A really, really nasty card. So you can imagine mutating on Illuna, and then boom, you have basically a 6/6 trampler in the air, and now this 15/15 trampler all of a sudden. And that's a lot of stuff to deal with for your opponents, let's just say. I love Jin-Gitaxias. It's basically like a walking counterspell. I just kind of like that it duplicates our instant and sorceries once per turn. And then when an opponent casts these particular spells, it gets countered at the very first instance, an artifact, instance, or sorcery. So it's just really good value for the board and for the your opponents in general, to be able to like kind of interact with them and protect what you have. I think it's a good like kind of way we can kind of proceed and kind of get more value. And I just like the idea of kind of extending that game in that manner. So in talking about exclusive, like an exclusive win con to the deck, look for no further than Ulamog the Defiler. This is a 10-costed spell. Obviously, we're not going to be casting it for 10. What we're going to be doing is we're going to be summoning it with Illuna's mutate ability. And as the simultaneous action of this thing being put onto the battlefield from exile, it will actually, as in that motion, it will see itself still in exile in that very game action because they're simultaneous. And because of that, Illuna will then enter with 10 Annihilator counters on it as well. So it will be a 17/17. And when this thing swings, it's simply going to take out 10 of your opponent's permanents. So it's just a nasty boy. Ulamog the Defiler is just such a nasty thing. So we just kind of love to see that as one of our hits. And then this kind of started it all, the Illuna combo. The Omniscience was always kind of a fan favorite. What can you say about this card other than it's just an incredible amount of value? And we love value. So you may cast spells from your hand without paying their mana cost. Hand is the key word there, not from everywhere, just your hand. So you just want to kind of keep cycling your value and kind of just going off from there. So Omniscience is a great card. So in that manner, I'm going to go over some of like my favorite cards for this particular archetype. So we will start off with the Awaken the Woods, and I'll just probably zoom out just a little bit for you guys. Beautiful. This is probably the best card in our deck. So if I would like put an order or like a sequence to kind of show you my top picks for Illuna, I would start with Awaken the Woods. And the reasoning why is this is going to create a decent amount of tokens that you love to mutate on, and they're also going to produce mana, so it accelerates to a faster Illuna. You play this on turn 3, for instance, and you'll have an additional Forest Dryad, or I'd say turn 4 would probably even be better, right? In that manner, you have 2 Forest Dryads hitting the board, and then on your next turn, you can simply use that mana from the Forest Dryads. Even if that Forest Dryad is tapped, you're still going to be nicely mutating onto that particular token, and then getting your triggers. And you're going to get there that much faster just because these are both tokens that produce mana. So a really top card in that manner for Illuna. Just kind of one of my favorites in general. It's just extremely strong in that manner. So Awaken the Woods is just a top MVP here in general. Addition, so you're kind of wondering, well, what if like my opponent like Swords to Plowshares like my token before I mutate onto it? Because that is a cast. When you are mutating in Illuna, you're casting it and targeting one of your tokens. In that manner, your Illuna wouldn't fizzle. It's a permanent card in that manner. It just has no targets to target any longer. Instead of fizzling and going to your graveyard, like some instance or sorceries might do, Illuna will still hit the battlefield as a 6/6. You just will not get the mutate. So that's that. And we'll kind of talk about like how to get more shots with Illuna if it just backfires on us in general. So here's Colony Garden. These are just the ways we can create tokens. You definitely want to create tokens. You definitely don't want to be tokenless. We want to have chances to mutate. So this is a green mana source that will actually produce tokens. A token that when it enters the battlefield is 0/1 green plant creature token. It's fantastic. This again is another one of my top picks for Illuna. It's not even close. Glimpse the Impossible. I noticed that I don't even really take the cards in exile. Sometimes I'll just opt to take all the 0/1 colorless Eldrazi's. They're so nice because they produce mana, and like once again, it's just these tokens that produce mana. Even if you have to sacrifice these ones in particular, you get 3 of them. They each can be sacrificed for mana. Obviously, one of them will be the one to take Illuna to mutate. But in this manner, it's just a beautiful card for us. And more often than not, you could just leave one around. So in case, maybe it doesn't go right for you, maybe your Illuna gets countered in some way, you can just kind of go back into another mutate later on with that token that you had made with Glimpse. Here's Indomitable Creativity. So there's some other outs, right? We don't just need Illuna to, create this kind of, exiling into our permanents from our library. You can use a card like Indomitable Creativity. 3 red is kind of a lot, very mana intensive, but say for instance, you have like 3 of those, Eldrazi tokens sitting around and you have 6 mana other than those Eldrazi tokens, because you wouldn't be able to sacrifice them for mana in that manner and target them with this card spell. But if you had, for instance, 6 mana available, like 6 lands, and 3 of them were red, and you had 3 of those drones, tap all your lands, and then you can destroy each of those drones with this particular spell as it resolves. And then you can fetch up 3 creature cards. So what you'll do for each permanent destroyed this way, its controller reveals cards from the top of their library until an artifact or creature card is revealed. Those players put the exile cards on the battlefield. So you can have a state where you bring out a Worldspine Worm, an Ulamog, and the Ginger Taxis on the battlefield at once. And then you're feeling pretty good about yourself, really. You're feeling pretty strong, you know. Transmogrify for 4 mana will just do a single instance, so you're just spinning the wheel for a creature card in our deck. So it could be the Djinn, the Ulamog, or the World Spy Worm, and that's just for 4 mana. So you can see like why, how we're getting so much value. We're going from like a 4 mana spell, and we're just on curve. You know, we created a token, you know, turn 2, and now turn 4, we're bringing out like a 11 drop for 4 mana. So that's magic, you know. This is like the rude awakening that you might have, is that there's just these cards out here that will bring out a lot of value at once, and you have to kind of be prepared for this stuff. Here's Divergent Transformations. This one will cost 1 less for each of your opponents. Again, this will summon up creature cards. This will do 2 creatures at a time, so you exile 2 target creatures. You could do that to your own stuff. You could do it to your opponent's things. Preferably, we'll probably be doing it to our own things, though. Here's Sokenzan, just another amazing way to create tokens. So this could be a land, but it also in a pinch could create tokens, and I've definitely utilized it for that. And we love tokens. These are all the ways we're going to create tokens. You have Rao's Reinforcements here. Just beautiful ways to create tokens. Krenko's Command, beautiful little shooting star foil right there. Dragon Fodder, more goblin creature tokens, and they're all non-humans, so, you know, Fabloom Trick, just more abilities to create tokens. That's kind of the MO we have, is to give ourselves a chance. I love Swarming of Moria. This is like my pet card for Illuna. I just love that it creates a countered token. So it's like a 2/2 counter, so we get an 8/8 Illuna when this mutates successfully over it, and it ramps, it gives us a treasure token, so it's perfect. And of course, it won't be like hit by an Illuna. These are just sorcery cards, you know. These are just all sorceries and instants, so you just fade the permanent type. You fade creature permanents, artifact permanents, enchantment permanents. You just fade all of those at once. It's pretty amazing stuff. This is really cool. Hard Evidence, create a 0/3 blue crab. It can investigate, so you get a little card advantage from it, and a token. Love it. This is a counter spell that can be paid in full to get a 2/2 token. We love it. Love to see it. Pest Infestation, so you get a little bit of a interaction where you can create more pest tokens, so you love that. Here's Mirrex. So this will come down as like any color mana symbol for the turn, but then you can simply pay 3 and tap it for, guess what? A token. Yo, a token. Burn down the house. This could be a 5 damage sweeper, or create 3/1/1 red devil tokens. Oh, the MVP, guys. This short got so many views and likes. You guys love this card. Can we do an encore for an Unfathomable Truths? The unsung hero of Illuna, Devoid. Draw 3 cards and create a 0/1 colorless Eldrazi spawn creature token with sacrifice this creature add. This card is so gas. It's so nice just to hold this up and, you know, do other things if you have to do on your opponent's turn, or otherwise just slam this down, like, you know, an opponent's end step, draw 3 fresh cards and have your token ready for Illuna the next turn. There's nothing like it. It's like the bomb, and it's a common. All right, the stonks are on, guys. Unfathomable Truths. We're so close, guys. We're so close to just the sickness. We're going to change the market. Den of the Bugbear. Additionally, this one's interesting. You can imagine that you can actually animate this and mutate over it. Again, when you mutate over it, it will remain the permanent creature. So it will stay in that board. It won't go back to like the land as being a land. So you won't have to like keep reanimating Illuna, you know, to be a 6/6. But if you mutated under it, you would have like a land Illuna, a land Den of the Bugbear Illuna that would have like, you know, mutate benefits. Totally bizarro rules right there. But this will also create a token upon attacking. So if it doesn't like work out where you can animate the Bugbear on a particular turn, you create that token and maybe you swing on an open opponent, and then you have a token to mutate onto. So we'll try to be as creative as possible. Lair is a little bit better, right? Because it only costs 2 mana to make this a 1/1. And then you can mutate over it. So that's a little bit better. Here's Otawara. So this is like those instances where maybe you mutate it over Illuna and you want to do it again. Like So you could basically do an Otawara on your own Illuna. It's just a nice interactive spell. Kamigawa might be goated, guys. This card is goated. That channel cycle, they do a lot of reprints, but man, Otawara is the bomb. Kazul's Fury, also just another sweet one. These will help us get back into Illuna if we need to, right? We can send it back to the command zone. We can even in a pinch, we could actually just sacrifice like a World Spine Worm and do like 15 damage to someone's face and get 3 5/5s. I mean, you could set up something like that too. So it can be tricky. But more often than not, I think it's probably going to be sacrificing a Luna to get it back into the command zone so we can, if those instances where we're like kind of starving for like maybe some more action from our library. Flare of the Nile similarly can, be a cheeky counterspell where perhaps you do your combo and now you're facing a lot of heat and you can go ahead and sacrifice your Illuna with a Flare and have like a 0 mana counterspell just kind of ready to go. So you kind of like that as well. Very effective. Here's Momentous Fall. Again, this is just like another way to get into like a crap ton of cards. Sacrifice like, one of your big creatures. Perhaps there is like a way that like the opponent is going to get into our actions, so to speak, and maybe we just have a Momentous Fall like to sacrifice our 17 power Illuna or a 17 toughness Ulamog, and we're ready to draw 17 cards. Like, I love Momentous Fall here. Really great card in general. Gamble, in case we want to be like looking for one of those like sweet aforementioned cards like a Kazul's Fury or some sort of form of value to keep our gas going. Could be like an Unfathomable Truce that we're looking for, I'll be honest. Okay, so Brainstorm actually has a really good function in this deck. And the reason is you might get one of those sweet permanents in your hand. And then you're like, well, I don't want it in my hand. I'd rather have it in my library. And maybe I want it on the top of my library. In this manner, you definitely can do that. You could draw 3 and then, put your Ulamog, second from the top or first from the top. And then, set it up so that you're mutating the Illuna and then you're guaranteed your Ulamog. So Brainstorm does look really cool here. I would say it's a very good, kind of look for Brainstorm in general for this particular deck. Ooh, so shiny. There you go, bring it down just a little bit. Here's Expressive Iteration, and this one is the really good value spell. You can exile a card I think you look at the 3, and then you put one of them into your hand, one of them in the bottom of your library, and exile one of them. You may play an exile card this turn. So much gas, so much selection. Still just a great card. Got banned. It got all sorts of stuff happen to it, but it's still just a value gasm. Prismari Command, an amazing 3-mana spell from Strixhaven. So versatile. I was just playing this in my Marchesa Dealer Death deck, and it did such great things. It can accelerate you with a treasure. You can, loot through some cards. You can deal damage to something. You can destroy an artifact. It is so versatile. For 3 mana, it is a lot of goodies on that Prismari Command for sure. So here's the Ballad Get Recovery. Return target card from your graveyard to your hand. Very nice. In case one of our things goes to the graveyard, we want to return it and kind of get some action. It's always nice, right? Here's the big score. As an additional cost to cast a spell, discard a card, draw 2 cards, and create 2 treasure tokens. Just some really nice value there, some nice acceleration. Same thing with Unexpected Windfall. As an additional cost to cast a spell, discard a card, draw 2 cards, and create 2 treasure tokens. Fantastic. Escape to the Wilds won't really work too great with your Omniscience, but it's just a lot of value. And it would be a nice card to just cast with Omniscience, and just kind of have a nice turn. It's a 5-mana spell. You get to play an additional land this turn and exile the top 5 cards of your library. You may play cards exiled this way until the end of your next turn. Just a really nice Gruul value spell. Dig Through Time. We're going to build our graveyard to an extent, and Dig Through Time can definitely kind of help us get into more value and more searching. So we like that card. Treasure Cruise, similarly, just a really nice value spell. They just love to see us put cards into the graveyard and delve them and help pay for the cost of the cards in the graveyard. Here's Seagate Restoration. It'd be actually a nice card with Omniscience, so beautiful look for Seagate in this actually particular deck, I would say. Could be a land as well. Draw cards equal to the number of cards in your hand plus 1. You have no maximum hand size for the rest of the game, and you can play this for an untapped land for 3 life. All right. So that was our value. Now here's like our kind of our really nice interactive pieces. This is a really good look for Pact. Why? Because simply you're going to want to protect your combo. Like once you have that, you're like a control deck in that manner where you're just kind of a tanky, ramp lord, and you get your combo down, and now you have a Pact available, and it's just really nasty. Like it's just a nice option. It is very tanky in that manner. Here's an offer you can't refuse, and just, man, this card could like just really save your life in some instances. It's just a really good choice. When you're kind of opting for like choices, I'd err on the side of an offer you can't refuse, just because it can just definitely kind of save games and sway games in your favor. Here's the Swan Song. Also another very versatile spell. The fact that it can hit instants or sorceries is very nice for 1 mana blue. And it hits enchantments too, so we love that. I mean, these 1 mana blue spells are just extremely strong. Strict Serenade and Wash Away are very similar in that manner, where they'll basically be suited for commanders. So they'll be looking to counter commanders from basically creature spells. This will counter target creature spells. This one will do it from spells that weren't cast from hand, so they both hit commanders very well. This can also hit artifacts and planeswalkers, so really nice spell in general. These are very valuable. Arcane Denial for a little bit of gasoline when we do counter a spell. We'll give cards to our opponent too, but it's fine. We're going to get 1 back ourselves, so it's kind of like a remand in that way. That's a hard counter instead. Here's Mana Drain. Obviously, it's just a very powerful card. Not considered in Game Changer, which was surprising because in Brawl, this is the most powerful card, and it's not really close. I mean, it's the gap has been closed. Azusa decks are very good. If you ever watch Beasley in Brawl, you should watch his Strip Mine crop rotation deck with Azusa. It's a really nasty like land destruction deck. But Mana Drain can kind of bridge that, and it always has been. It was always the boogeyman, and it still kind of is the boogeyman of the format. What's also interesting about Mana Drain is like the bracketing of it. So you counter target spell, period. So for instance, say for instance you have a spell like a Cavern of Souls, right? Someone like casts a spell, a huge mana spell, and you're like, oh shit, my Mana Drain's not going to work. Well, you can actually Mana Drain that uncounterable spell. It won't resolve the countering of it, but you will resolve the mana cost, which is really interesting. So you could have like a big Mana Drain still. This is like just a massive ramp spell in that manner. So it's never like a dead card. So there's that. Here's Wild Rose Rebellion. This is just a counter spell in like the Final Fantasy art. Here's Jawari Disruption. Also just like a really nice option. It could be a land or counter target spell unless its controller pays 1. Just love to see it. Spikefield Hazard, we're just going to be like kind of very creative with our lands in general. We're going to play a high abundance of it because we want to get into our 6 mana commander. So any way we can go to, any way we can get a little interaction along the way, we're very happy. Just a nice little bolt here for planeswalkers and creatures. Perhaps going to the face at sometimes. Rapid hybridization to create for destroying a target creature for 1 blue. And its controller creates a 3/3 green frog lizard. Beautiful. Vandal Blast. Ooh. These cards are so valuable. Like I can't really tell you like how valuable a card like Vandal Blast is. I wish this was available in Brawl. I would be abusing the crap out of this. It can just simply destroy a target artifact for 1 red, which is nice, but the overload of where you're destroying each artifact, and those are all your opponent's artifacts for 5 mana, is just crazy. And this card has been reprinted so many times, it's only like $2. It's like stabilized at $2. Like, This card is just like top 10. Okay, Shatter Soul Smashing. It can be a land, it can be a removal spell. We kind of like that versatility. Stump Stomp, additionally, can be just like a nice little bite spell or a land. Love it. Bridgewords Battle. This can also simply just target one of your own creatures for a fight. So we just kind of love that as well. Just love to see it. Or it could be a land. Here's Blasphemous Act, just a really big, nice sweeper. So we just, like I said, we might want to, restart our Illuna. Our World Spine Worm and our Ulamog will live through this. So it's really not so bad. Like the Blasphemous Act actually looks really good here. And you know what? Just to comment on this, it kind of makes me think about my girl, Maria, like in vehicles. And Balthian Fran was a really cool deck. I hope you guys like that. That got us to the 500. Let's try to get to 750. I got Tycho. I had him sitting right here in this very deck box. So make sure you guys subscribe to the video and make a comment. You'll be eligible for the Tycho deck. And that's a massive deck. It is a massive. It's ninjas. It's going to coincide with the Ninja Turtles. It's going to be a big video for me. So I'm super excited. I am waiting on some cards to finish the deck because I had some ninjas that needed to be put in. But I just got to thinking, man, there's some sweet stuff you can do. Blasphemous Act and like Reckoner Bankbuster, I don't know. That just seems like a match made in heaven to me where you're just destroying stuff and you're gaining value off your artifacts. I don't know. There's just something romantic about it. I don't know. What do you guys? I've won games like that, like a guy just going, a couple homies just going off, and then I'm dropping a Blasphemous Act and just starting to draw cards with freaking the Reckoner Bankbuster, and just getting winning through value. This card is something else. It really is, no matter what. Boseiju, Who Endures. Some really nice land options here for channeling, destroying our enchantments or some problematic lands, artifacts. Yep, we love that. Cyclonic Rift, that can just hit lots of non-land permanents that your opponents control for that overload cost. Otherwise, you're just going to return one at a time. Could be very versatile in that manner. Sink the Stuper, I always typically use this for return, like in tight games, but it could always act as a land. Really versatile in that. Chaos Warp, you just need this stuff. You need this stuff. You need the Chaos Warp, you need the Beast Within, you need to be able to hit everything because, let's be honest, your opponent's going to, do some crazy shit sometimes. So you need to have a kind of this suite available. Chaos Warp, Beast Within. All these cards are just fantastic. You know what's so interesting about it too? And I'll just echo this, is that when I first started playing Commander and I was at the CGB Discord, there were some really good guys in there and they knew Commander very well. And they're like, well, you're playing Myria. These are the cards you need to play. You need to play Chaos Warp, Beast Within, Blasphemous Act, and Vandal Blast. They're like, you need to get those in immediately. And it's okay, then I totally see that. I see the big picture. You do need these things. You need to be able to have the versatility to have a risk reward spell where you're removing any permanent, right? The owner of target permanent shuffles it into their library and then you're revealing their cards. Then they get that permanent, but you got rid of that crazy thing and hopefully you exchange it for a land or something. Similarly, this will just destroy any target permanent as well. And they'll just be left with a 3/3. So that can hit lands, it can hit anything, hit artifacts, creatures, enchantments, whatever. These cards are crazy and they're all at instant speed. Beautiful, guys. I'm so excited to just bring you this deck. I'm always excited to bring you guys decks, but this one seems very, very cool, of course. I like the Farseek just for finding our Surveil lands. Any type. We could even find our Izzet Surveil lands with this one, which is really nice. Our Nature's Lore and our 3 Visits might not be able to do it, but this could find like those red-blue surveil lands because it can find mountains or islands. So just a really cool, option to do a Farseek. Nature's Lore, similarly, that will just find a forest, but we have a lot of nice surveil lands with forest colors too. Planar Genesis, just for like a nice instant speed ramp spell. This works also very well with Growth Spiral. These cards are they're so gold. They are golden. It's the instant speed nature of them. They can ramp you. You can hold up interaction. There's just nothing like Growth Spiral and Planar Genesis. Really hot Cultivate here, guys. Look at that nice little foil. They don't make foils like this anymore. And I know like people get very excited about like, like the new stuff, right? The like new collectors, like the prettiest treatments and stuff, like, but there's something about these, like even the ones from like War of the Spark, they just hit a little bit different. There's like some kind of like refinement to it. Look at this, guy. Look at that color. It's like it's always something different. Like the bands are shining, the rings are shining red. Like it's so interesting. Like it looks so much different on the camera that I'm looking at it from it face to face. Like it doesn't look that much, but there are some angles here where it's like, oh my God, like these cards are so interesting. Like you can get these still for like $10, $15, and sometimes we'll even have old timers come into the store with like just binders of these foils. They have just collection of old foils, and it's just like a free for all because they're like, hey, you guys want to get in on this stuff? Like I got all this stuff. Let's do some trading. It's like, oh my God, it's like heaven on earth. Like there's nothing really like it. Like I could go on and on about this, but there's something about these like old foils here that you just don't really see it too much anymore. These are cool though. This is cool art. The full art borderless stuff. That's something unique for our generation at least. Here's Steam Vents. These are just our shock lands, so they're just very utilitized. Here, Ketria Triome for all the colors, and these are just have all the mountain forest subtypes like the Thundering Falls. These can be fetched up, which is nice with like our Farseek, Nature's Lore and stuff. Shifting Woodland in case we get like an Omniscience in the graveyard, and it'd be kind of cool to like Delirium it and have Omniscience on the battlefield. So I think we have enough permanents to activate the Shifting Woodland. I will kind of look into that. I was maybe getting ahead of myself. At the very least, we'll have a Cavern of Souls in here too, so don't worry about that. Mistrise Village is also a really nice option. So this is kind of another way just to get some uncounterability, and it fits our colors, mountain or forests, and it adds blue. So it's like a perfect card. It's a perfect teamer card, and just have like an uncounterability that can be made through a land is very nice. Very cool card. Ancient Tomb just for some mass rampies. Gemstone Caverns additionally just for that like kind of nice bonus that we can get like prior to the game starting if we're not the starting player. And then you have your fetch lands here. A lot of fetch lands just because you're just hitting lots of colors. So you just have that kind of nice little option. You have the commander lands or battle bond lands here that you can get these in the Baldur's Gate, and it looks like maybe Commander's Legends too. So those are just nice options. So these are your opponent lands. So if you have two or more opponents, they simply just come in and untapped, which is Commander requisite. Usually, if your opponents kind of get depleted, then you might not have two or more opponents anymore, and they'll come in tap, but they're still really nice. Here's your just basics here, and a command tower. So that's the deck. Let's get Illuna to the front. To the front. There it is. Let's get the big heavy hitters to the front too. And perhaps we'll actually do a shuffle through if you guys want to hang out for a moment. So this is Illuna Apex of Wishes, and has some really nice top-end permanents here. Some new ones from my front notice from MH3 like Ulamog, Jin-Gitaxias, and we also have a World Spine Worm in here as well. So we have some really nice removal here. Really, that's kind of the name of the game, is your removal suite, your interactive pieces, and like your very powerful payoffs. It's kind of that's your formula for success. I really had fun. If you guys joined me for my Marchesa live today, it was really fun. It was a good learning curve. I felt like I got better at Magic kind of playing today. It's definitely a different type of, kind of playing like kind of like the interactive Andy. you know, and you have to be kind of really patient when you're up against like kind of mirror matches. And it was a really good one. I had some nice matches, had some heartbreaking sequences too. You know, it's just can be very heartbreaking, like, you know, playing a really good game and then perhaps maybe not taking a good card, and then you're kind of left in the dust. And it's just also very interesting, like the card selection, how the deck kind of changes over time. But I am so jazzed for that Marchesa deck. I cannot tell you. I am so excited. I cannot. I'm like, I was almost thinking, like, I was pulling some cards out as I was making this deck today, and I was like, man, I cannot wait till, like, I thought I was building like Marchesa today for you guys and presenting it, because I was getting some cards and I was like thinking of thumbnail titles. So I was like, just like, holy macaroni. So let's do a little shuffling. See if we can kind of get some action. Just maybe look at a hand or two, see what's going on in our lives. And this deck is done. I think I might have had like a Fading Hope on the list. I couldn't find that card, so I think I ended up just putting in like a Lightning Bolt or something. That's fine. Got the Vandal Blast in too, of course. I was like, just kind of rummaging through the cards. I basically have like 6 decks, like I'd say, like in rotation right now. Meaning that I'm pretty pigeonholed on like Ancient Tomb and Cavern, Gemstone Caverns. Like those just seem like kind of stably in Brawl right now. So that's kind of like the meta. So I just don't have a lot of Ancient Tombs or Gemstone Caverns. I just have like a set of them. So some decks are getting the treatment. You know, most of them are, I'd say, in my Moxfield list. If that's not for you, don't. These decks are kind of as juiced up as I can get them most of the time. I kind of put down some budget decks every now and then. Like I did an Aragorn deck, Legend deck, that looks really cool. It looks really, really cool. It's like, and I did like a budgety land base for that. It's like $100. So it wasn't that bad. So yeah, you can definitely have fun for Magic. Let me know if you guys want to see like a budget Sephiroth deck. I actually just finished up a Sauron the Necromancer build. And I had a lot of fun revisiting that. But I have no problem maybe doing like a Sephiroth angle too for it. You know, maybe still with like an LOTR backbone. But I also could just do a budgety one if you guys wanted. I could do like a budget Sephiroth deck. And maybe we could do that like as an in-between to our 750. Maybe we can like tease that deck to kind of accelerate us to the 750. Maybe do like an in-between. Let me know what you guys think. I'm at 570 subscribers right now. So perhaps we could do like a 650 or 675. We could do like a Sephiroth deck giveaway. Like maybe like $100 budget Sephiroth. Sephiroth would be like the main. Oh shit! I could do some cool stuff with Fumulus in there too. So, yeah, we could definitely do a Sephiroth sacrifice deck. We could do a budgety one. So, I would love to do that, guys. If you guys are into that, let me know. All right, so here we go. Counterspell, Divergent Transformation, Phantom Interference, World Spine Worm, Ulamog. Small Island, Mulligan. Okay, we got our World Spine Worm and Ulamog sticking a little. That's okay. Little shuffles. Little shuffle. So I don't know if you guys followed Jake and Joel or Magic, but I believe one of the members of that channel created his own channel. It's called Marthusius Magic. Marthius. I believe that was Jake, the Jake of the group. And it is really cool. He had a really cool short today where an old-time collector who like collected Magic with his sons, he has like millions of dollars of like Magic cards in his hand, like at the Beckett line. And this guy is raw dogging like lotuses Like he has like 6 or 7 Black Lotuses that are there's no sleeves. He's just raw dogging. He's raw dogging power, like Time Twister. He had a really nice time, what is it called? Time Walk. He had a really nice looking Time Walk, and he had a bunch of Moxes. You guys have to check out that short if you have not checked it out. Marthusius Magic. And it's like, you will not believe what, this old collector had in the Beckett line. It is incredible video. It's like, wow, people are just sitting on like cash. Like that kind of gives hope for like, hunters, like, treasure hunters, that maybe some parents or grandparents are just kind of sitting on a box. And inside that box is just power, like magic power, like some serious power, like not shitty power. Like we're talking some serious dollars. And they're just sitting on like millions of dollars of product. It's really interesting. So we look for like a token enabler here, some way to accelerate us. So that was like that's a hand. Yeah, I can make a couple shorts out of this. It is hard to, you got to kind of work in the deck a little bit, as they'd say. There is true, I have a high land count. I'm not going to lie. I have a very, very high land count in this particular deck. But they all have, most of them are spells. They're mostly spells. Oh, a card I don't have in here? I'm such a doofus. Is Malevolent Rumble. And that's just an easy inclusion. I'll probably just cut like one of these like forests for it. So be on the lookout for that. That is actually a massive card for us because it gives you a little graveyard building, gives you a token, so it gives you a little bit of everything, right? It gives you a lot of, kind of everything we're kind of looking for. That token, little graveyard building, really good for our treasure coups and dig through time, for instance. Okay. Gamble. Yeah, with the Prismari command, I think, like, honestly, this is, like, kind of one of those instances where I'm probably going to gamble for that Unfathomable Truths on turn 1. And that way, I can look forward to a token and some more gasoline. I could ramp with the Prismari command and look for some more cards. So that's probably what I would do. There's an Ulamog. We draw the Ulamog. I wouldn't hate for that actually to go to the graveyard because we might be able to like get it back in a certain way. So I'd probably do that. I'd probably gamble for that Unfathomable Truce. There's the Unfathomable Truce. We go to our next turn here. There's Indomitable Creativity. That's pretty good with a Prismari command. You definitely want to skew these to red if you can, I would say. Unless you really need to have green, because your Indomitable Creativity is 3 red pips. So you definitely want to skew your land count to red. And with that manner, you could make a treasure with this, and then you can kind of have your Indomitable Creativity pop in like one of our sweet permanents, one of our sweet creature permanents. So you kind of like are off to the races in that manner. But yeah, this card, I just see from looking at this card is like starving for like a Malevolent Rumble. We can probably definitely lose like another basic here. We're pretty heavy on the basics already, so I would probably just leave out one of these like basics here for a Malevolent Rumble, and we'll probably be pretty excited mostly. Okay, guys, thanks you so much for joining me. This was a fun video, and remember sure to like and subscribe and share with your friends. I'll see you guys later. Bye-bye.